Hi, and welcome to Running on Carbs podcast. This is Coach Val, your host and your coach of the podcast. And I'd like to welcome you to episode number 18 of the podcast today. This is going to be a little different format than I've been doing up until now. I hope you enjoy it. But I just really want to talk from the heart today. A little bit about my philosophy on coaching, on training, on who I work with, because I have been reflecting the last couple of days about an impending birthday that is coming up for me. And it's kind of a big one. And in reflecting on my years that I've been on this earth and what I hope to gain and continue to do with my life for the rest of the years that I am so generously given, hopefully. Um, I just want to reflect a little bit because when this podcast comes out, it'll be just a couple of days before my 49th birthday. So I have been on this earth almost half a century. Next year, obviously, is going to be a very big birthday for me, but I feel like this one is really an important one for me. And I'm not sad about it. I'm not scared of it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. There's some sort of sense of, I don't know, pride of coming up on half a century on the earth and where I've come from and where I am now and what I hope to still accomplish and who I hope to meet and what I hope to do. So I thought this would be kind of a nice podcast episode to just speak from the heart and just share a bit about what my philosophies are and see if it resonates with you. Or maybe you're just interested, like I am, in hearing other people's stories. So this is a storytelling episode, and I hope you enjoy it. So I know that I like to learn from people that I share something in common with. And, I don't talk about it very much on the podcast, or if I have even at all, but I have been working in a very high stress, high pressure, fast paced corporate position for a number of years in a real estate executive position. And I oversee hundreds of independent contractor real estate agents, and I'm responsible for basically billions of dollars in real estate sales. Because I am that designated broker that oversees all the transactions in the corporation, in the company, and ultimately it comes down to me and to my shoulders. And that's a lot of high stress. And I know that a lot of you have these high stress positions where a lot is put on your plate and on your shoulders. And there's that connection with high stress in a position, and then having that type A personality, always wanting to get it done. And I think that translates to our fitness, to our nutrition, to how we manage that on an everyday basis. And a lot of times, in life, we have to balance that. And sometimes that balance isn't very good. So to back up just a smidge, I decided to get my coaching credentials, my run coaching credentials, and my personal trainer certification just for my own purposes. I had not planned on using it for a business or for helping others or coaching anyone else when I first got those designations. They were purely just so that I had knowledge for myself and my running and how I could put together plans. And when I was working with a coach, I would have better understanding of the programs that they would be putting together for me. And that goes back to that type A personality where you want to know everything and understand it all in the most intricate sense. So that's me. I want to understand it all. But I realized after getting those coaching certifications, actually, I even realized it while I was in one of the courses, and it was a live course. There was an instructor, and I was really I was one of those students. I'm not usually that person, but I was one of those students that always had something to share, some sort of story or anecdote or something along those lines. And the instructor and I had, a good time going back and forth. And I realized, hey, this is something that I actually really enjoy. I love talking about running. And then to find another group of people who enjoyed as much as me was very exciting. And I know I've talked about that before. Um, but I did realize that my background in corporate real estate and in, executive positions and management positions have really qualified me to help and coach other people, because the running portion of it can be learned from both experience, from books, from all of the coursework and everything. That can be learned and integrated. But, if you go to a physical therapist, in a medical facility, um, their work comes from a combination of book learning and from experience. Well, it's the same thing. But to work with someone in a manner that you can communicate with them and talk with them at their level, with their personality, and how to connect with them on their level at the place where they are in their training, and and just who they are as a person, that is something that you can't teach. That's something that you just either have or you don't. And so I realized that my work in real estate, working with agents and clients and all of that, really taught me how to have those people skills, have those coaching skills, and work with people, and to coach people along, through things that can be kind of complicated, things that can be emotional, um, and coaching, guiding, leading. All those things are what I do on an everyday basis. So that's when I realized that I could really help women, especially, um, like myself, who are busy, stressed out, really just gain control of their health, and to set those personal goals, outside of work. Because a lot of executives, they don't work for their own success. They work for other people's success. And I see this every day. The women that I work with, uh, they are looking out for the employees, they're looking out for the staff members, they're looking out for the company, both from a longevity perspective and from a financial perspective. But they're looking out after everybody else. And then if they have families, they're looking out after their family. Is the family okay? Are the kids good? Even if the kids aren't at home, they're always worried about the kids. Whether they're 30 or whether they're 13 or 3. Um, but I notice that the women that I work with at this professional level are always doing for everybody else. And a lot of times their health and just their personal interests, their hobbies, take a back seat. And they don't do those things anymore because they're always so busy working on someone else's happiness or someone else's problems. And that's where I realized that women need other women to help and coach them, to help them understand and realize that they are worth their time and effort. And sometimes you just need someone to help cut through the red tape. Like, you don't have time to teach yourself all this. Not everybody wants to go and become a run coach and take training certifications and, you know, go to classes for 4 months at a time. They're like, I just want to run the next half marathon. Or, I know I want to eat a plant based diet and I don't know where to start. But I also know that my doctor said it will help my cholesterol levels or something. And I want to feel better, and I want to bring down my inflammation markers, and I want to implement this, but I don't have time or energy to learn it from scratch. So they want someone to help them. And that makes perfect sense because I get it. I know exactly where you are. I've done it and I've hired people to help me with the same things. So I understand that. Um, they just, these women, I'm thinking of some women that I work with, they're just constantly giving of themselves to the other people, and they don't always get recognized. And, first off, if you are one of these women, I want to recognize you for what you do, because I know how much you care for the people that you work for and work with. And I've seen the sacrifices that you make. So first off, I want to acknowledge that. Um, and I have such high respect for these women. Um, in a lot of cases, these women, what am I trying to say? So the men in these roles, similar roles, let's say, they are, they can probably make some of the similar claims, but I think women have something special. First of all, I don't know any men personally. Maybe there are men out there that do this, but I don't know any men who put on a full face of makeup and do their hair and, very specifically pick out their clothes and accessories in order to go to an everyday meeting or office. But I know a lot of women who do, a lot of them, most of them. So if they're not putting on full makeup, they're putting on something. And their steps of getting ready in the morning take longer than most men. So if you are trying to fit in workouts before work, before you go off into your busy day, you're getting up probably far earlier than your male counterparts in order to get in that run, get home, get showered, eat, take care of any people that might be relying on you, or in my case, animals that are relying on you, and get yourself presentable and out the door. That is not an easy feat, and women do it every single day all over the country. And for those reasons, that's why knowing what you're going to do and having a plan and having a strategy is so important. Um, and starting from scratch and learning something new it's just too much. Um, But like it or not, there are those certain societal expectations, they're placed on women. If I showed up at one of these events with no makeup and my hair, unbrushed and, not straightened and just kind of like everywhere, kind of like it is today, it is a weekend. um, I'd probably get a couple side eye looks. I could imagine, a few of them. Um, but there are some expectations there. And not to mention women, even women who are working outside of the house in these, high level professional positions, even, um, when it comes to younger children, very often, even if you have a spouse that's available as well, it's oftentimes mom that is there for things like illness, or, you're kissing the boo-boos, you're taking them to the doctor's visits. When the school calls and there's a parent-teacher conference to be had, you are probably there, no matter what position you hold in that company that you're in. So, you know, thinking about this, I just remember when my son was little, I was that same person. I was working outside the home, and yet I was there at those doctor's visits, and I was there at those parent-teacher conferences. I did all those things. So I know that a lot of you are doing that too. But in doing all of this and caring for all of these people that you care for and companies that you care for, and as noble as all of it is, I do believe that women have to take care of themselves. And I do believe that you need to foster your own personal interests. And that is going to take some effort. I don't think that you can get much more personal than running, quite honestly, because running is an individual sport in most cases, or at least it certainly is at the recreational level. Even if you were to go to a run club and run with a group, a lot of times that group separates into pockets, and you may find yourself just running alone at certain times because other people are running at different paces, or different distances than you are. So you can't get much more personal than a personal best, right? If you can get a personal best, then we're talking about a personal interest at that point. um, Hiring a running or nutrition coach, what that does for an individual who has certain goals is it just shortens the learning curve, just tightens it up, shortens the learning curve. And I think most importantly, it shortens the decision fatigue. It eliminates it in most cases. And decision fatigue is absolutely real. And you know what? If you feel this, you hit me up over on Instagram or make a comment on YouTube here and let me know if you feel decision fatigue at the end of your day. Like you get home and someone says, "What's for dinner?" and you fall apart. Or you you're done with your workday and you're sitting on the couch, if you're so lucky, and you turn on the TV and you're like, I don't even know what I want to watch. It's like, it's another decision. It could be the tiniest, most minor thing, and yet it feels so overwhelming. That is decision fatigue when you're just like, I don't even care anymore. I don't want to make a decision. I just want to sit here. I'm starving. My stomach is grumbling and I'm hungry, but I can't make another decision on what to do. And unfortunately, in those circumstances, oftentimes that's when people will reach for the snacks, the food that's not so good for us, the prepared foods, um, things that just, put something in your mouth until, someone else makes the decision on, actual real food that may be nourishing. If you're so lucky that somebody does that, um, I can tell you that oftentimes when that happens to me, I end up with cereal. So, um, I buy good cereal, so I make sure that at least if I'm going to have cereal, it's going to be good cereal. But those are my decision fatigue meals, is if I don't have something prepared and I get to that point, it's cereal for dinner. Um, what is yours? I want to know. What's your go-to decision fatigue meal in those cases? Um, but it's just so much easier when you have a plan, when it's structured. So I'm going to go back to workouts. So for your running, nutrition also, but when it comes to running, when you are working with a coach, then you tell them, these are my plans. This is what I'd like to do. I want to build a base, or I want to run a half marathon in 6 months, or whatever your plan is. You have a goal, you have a plan, and every week or two, you get structured workouts, whatever that might be that fits your plan. And when you wake up in the morning, you know that that's what you're doing that day. You didn't have to decide. You didn't have to wonder. You didn't have to do the same 3-mile route that you do every single day. So it's structured and done for you. It's one last decision that you have to make. Personally, I love a plan for just that reason, because I don't have to, I hate having to wonder. Even before I was running and I was doing at-home workouts like on Beachbody or something, I liked that because it was structured. And it said, on Monday you do this workout, then Tuesday you do that workout, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Friday is your rest day. Love it. Just give me a plan and let me implement. And I think for women who are very busy in professional executive roles, where you are the one making all those decisions every single day, all day long, to have somebody else put something together and say, here, don't make lots of decisions, just do this. And of course, along the way, you can make adjustments and changes, and if you're traveling or whatnot, but you don't do that in the moment. I think that's key. You're not making decisions in the moment, and that's when you can make better decisions. And that just goes for anything. So it's the same idea, same process. I personally have a 5-tier philosophy when it comes to coaching and it comes to training. And it's super simple, but I use this 5-tier process to make decisions on what products I offer, what services I offer, and also how I deliver it. So, number 1 has to be fun. It can't just be work. I do count breaking through personal barriers fun, and fun is relative. So, like I said in my last episode, hiking up massive hills on beautiful Catalina Island in 90-degree temperatures, that's fun to me, but that's me. It's a personal barrier, right? So, it was, I mean, you're on Catalina Island in that case, and you're in a beautiful environment, and there's fresh air and sea breeze. It's it's a invigorating environment, so has to be fun. Number 2, build gradually. I am not one to throw together some plan for someone because they walk in the door and say, "You know what? I want to run a half marathon in 4 weeks from now." And right now I'm running maybe 2 or 3 miles at a time. Um, that's not enough time. And I don't want to be responsible for that person's injury. So, no. In that particular case, I would have to turn that down. Um, if you want a base building plan and, start off, that's great. But building gradually is very important. You can't just go out the gate and, expect not to get hurt. Again, I don't want to be responsible for somebody's injury. So I need to be able to build something gradually for someone. My third philosophy is strength and durability. In order to continue running, there must be strength and you must build durability to be in this world. And durability to me means that you can function in the world in a normal way, in a normal manner without pain, and to be able to weather the unexpected. So if you were to step off of a curb and, kind of slightly tweak your ankle, you don't go down like a ton of bricks because you have been working on single leg strength and ankle mobility and making sure that you have functionality in your joints. So obviously you can't plan for everything. I mean, look at me, I came off of a stress fracture. So it doesn't work in all realms of life, but if you have it, you can heal faster. So having this foundation is very important. So every plan that's put together always has strength in a functional manner incorporated. So strength and durability are extremely important in my philosophy. Number 4 is a holistic nutrition. And to me, nutrition is not an afterthought. It's not an add-on product. It's not something that you just, throw in and say, sure, I can, we can figure out your protein levels or something, even though you're vegan and, I don't know anything about veganism, which is what has happened to me in the past. So holistic nutrition to me takes into account the entire woman, the entire person. It is not just a diet. I don't like the word diet, although sometimes I have to use that word to describe what people eat. But really, to me, it is what you fuel your body with in order to function in the world optimally. So, there's always room for fun as well and enjoyability, but 90 plus percent of the time, it's for fueling yourself, it's for fueling your life. So, I don't talk about weight loss. Even though weight is important in many realms, it's not something that I focus on in my training and my coaching and my philosophy. I focus on the health of nutrition and how it impacts the individual woman as a whole. Is it something that you can put together and live with? Is it something that you can do on a daily basis and continue? Is it sustainable? I think sustainable nutrition is far more important than focused on short-term weight loss. Many women have some pounds that they'd like to lose. I know I have some pounds that I would like to lose, but I weigh that, personally, I weigh that as far as health and optimal nutrition for the activities that I'm doing and the weight loss. Like, which one to me is more important? And in my younger years, the weight loss always won out, but that's sort of messed up my metabolism over the years. And I use that term loosely, but my body definitely reacts differently now to calorie shortages and things like that than when I was younger. And it doesn't work the same. And there's a lot of studies and science coming out around weight loss when it comes to calories in, calories out, and how that's not exactly all it's cracked up to be, because there's a limit to that. What I have learned is it is better to teach the body to use the fuel that you're putting into it in a efficient manner so it fuels you and it fuels your life, and you don't have excess, but you have what your body needs to fuel your activity. So my focus is helping the individual use plant-based sources to fuel their activity, without having excess. The last philosophy, number 5, is a persistent mindset. And this wraps up into a couple of areas. So, number 1, persistent as in your training, as you might expect, having that persistent mindset, that, prevails in the end. But it also comes back to knowing that every setback is a setup for a comeback. So if you are injured, or maybe not fully injured and taken off the running path altogether, but maybe there's a setback. Maybe you had a tweak and now you got to give it some rest or some extra TLC. Or like me, I've been dealing with new runner shin splints now that I'm coming back from my stress fracture and rebuilding my mileage. I've had to deal with tight calves and, sore shins and things like that. And so I can't just pick up and run as much as I like. So I've got to be persistent, but I got to be smart about it. So that's what I mean by a persistent mindset, being able to deal with things that might take you off track a little bit, but being persistent in staying with it and not just giving up. I mean, I could just say, oh, my shins hurt, I'm just going to rest for the next 2 weeks. But how is that going to help my shins get stronger and build back and be able to support my increased mileage? I mean, with that mindset, I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be going through this vicious cycle over and over and over again. So you have to know when to back off, and you have to know when to go forward, at a safe pace. So those are my 5 philosophies. That's what I build my business on. That's what I build my own training on. And they're just my personal philosophies of how I see training and how I see my coaching business altogether. But every program and anything I create always has to pass that 5-tier test. So if you're thinking of hiring me for an 8-week marathon training plan, I won't be doing that. So sorry about that. No 8-week marathon training plans. It violates my second philosophy, build gradually. If you want a half marathon in 3 weeks, but you haven't been running consistently, can't build that one either. I sell plans on Final Surge, but you're not going to find one of those. So it's going to be, 12-week plan or something like that. But if you agree and you feel like you have similar philosophies to me, I would love to connect. So you can find me, of course, over on Instagram. My podcast is here for you to listen to. I put out an episode every week. Every Thursday, a new episode comes out. As I said, this particular episode was a little different. I just wanted to share a little bit. Coming up on my birthday, I thought this is a good time to share my thinking, my thoughts, how I philosophize about what I do, where I come from, and how it helps you, what it could look like. So if you would like some support or assistance, I invite you to click the link in the show notes. There's a link that you can set up or schedule a call with me. It's like 20, 30 minutes because I know what your schedule looks like. It probably looks a lot like mine. Really busy. So I have early morning appointments and things like that to work with women who have those busy schedules that once their day starts, there is no time for anything else until the day ends. And by then, you're at the decision fatigue stage. So we just try to put it all in the morning. And that way, we get it all done, move on with our day. So I see you. I recognize you. I know what your schedule's like. So if you want to schedule something with me, please hop on there. If there's not a time that you see that works for you, just send me a message. We'll find a time that works for both of us. And hopefully we will talk soon. If you also believe in the same philosophies that I have, and you'd like to build your running and your nutrition in a structured manner without having to make all of the decisions, there's going to be some, but don't worry, I will be there to help you along your path. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this short episode and got to learn a little bit more about me and connect. Now, go run your best life on carbs. I'll see you next time. Take care.